Hey friends, let me show you how I made this Lazy Susan serving tray. Hi, I'm Deidre Williams, owner of the DMW Collection, where we talk all things resin art and candle making. Okay, so the first thing I did was start it with a blank canvas here. This is just a circular wood. I did not prep this prior to. I did put tape on the bottom, but I didn't like gesso it or anything. And then I chose 3 different shades of blue because I wanted this to be like the ocean. So I just chose 3 that I thought looked good. So I am just going to lay the colors next to each other. I just kind of wanted it to go from like dark to light, and then I will mix the colors together later. But right now I'm just trying to lay the colors. If you guys notice, I do not lay my colors on top of each other. Like I've said 1,000 times, I just don't know if I'm going to want to put something else in between them, or if I want them to mesh the way they do. And I just love how organically they come together. It just looks so much better to me. So I laid my 3 colors down. That's all the resin that I wanted to use for those 3. And then now you just see me using my hands. This is probably one of my favorite parts, is to being able to like feel the resin and work with it. And so I'm just using my hands to spread the resin. The resin is it's very liquid, but it's kind of thick too. So you can kind of move it around a bit. So I am just going to, for the next little bit, use my hands to move the resin in the design that I want, as well as in the area that I want. And so that's why now I'm just pushing it up to fill that gap. I poured it a little bit too far apart, but resin is super forgiving. The resin that I use is Be Resin. It has a pretty good working time. And literally, I only poured these 3 colors, and I did do white for the waves. But this project didn't take me a long time for my base colors. So what I'm doing right now, like I said, is I am not only mixing the colors, but I'm also filling the gap. And then I'm using the excess that's on my hands and I'm rubbing it on the side of the board just so that I'm not wasting any resin. Like, resin isn't cheap and I am not going to waste any. So anyways, so one thing that I'll tell you guys though, the reason I'm doing it with my hands and not like a popsicle stick is because I wanted to create a certain look, like actual waves in here. One thing and I feel like that's kind of how you can achieve it. I really like the outcome of you using my hands over using like a popsicle stick or a tool or something. Definitely don't ever use resin without, at the very minimum, gloves. Always wear your proper PPE, but no matter what, just make sure you have gloves on. And it's so fun to work with. Like, it just reminds me of being a kid and being able to just like, get dirty, get your hands finger painting and stuff like that. This is what that reminds me of. Anyways, so I realized that I had poured my resin too far down and I still wanted to do waves. I didn't know how low my waves was going to go, but I still wanted this to be like, I like my pieces to be functional, my serving trays and stuff like that. And so I wanted to leave a good bit of the wood exposed so that you can actually like cut on it. Or I know a lot of people aren't comfortable, even though this resin is food safe. A lot of people aren't comfortable with putting food on there. So I just moved it up a little bit, and then now I'm going in to do my waves. So waves is one of those things that's really, really tricky, and you kind of have to um, do this multiple times, in my personal opinion. Like, you probably won't get it on your first try. What I'm going to do to try to achieve my waves is I'm going to use a hair dryer. So that's just like the hair dryer that I have at home. And I use one of the nozzles that came with it to kind of push the white over into the color. And then I'm also trying to use this technique that I saw, in which the heat gun, well, not the heat gun, the torch actually creates the cells in the waves. But the problem with what I did here is that, like, you need an alcohol ink to create cells. Like, you can't create it using just pigments, or they won't be very good, or like they won't create the cells that you needed to create. And so I would say use an alcohol ink to create the cells. And also I'm using a blow dryer and I have it on cold. This is why I'm using it so much, because it's not burning the resin or anything. But use a heat gun with an attachment. That's going to be better to create your waves as well. So Yeah, this project didn't take any time. The most time it took is that I did let it set in between, probably let it set like 12 hours or so before I went in with the first layer of waves. I did go back and do a second layer of waves because I wanted to try the technique again. Obviously, I did the same thing twice, made the same mistakes, but nonetheless, I still loved how it came out. I ended up turning this piece into a Lazy Susan. That was super fun to make. I don't think that I actually recorded me doing that process, but I'll probably do it again. So if that's something you guys are interested in, let me know. And here's the finished piece. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Until next time, bye friends.